Hi everyone, this is Matt with Silverwood Wood Designs, and this is part of our Makers series where we kind of demonstrate and walk through the process that we go through to build one of our many products that we offer at our shows and on our website. Today I'd like to walk you through the assembly process of building one of our basic dice towers. Here, as you can see, we have a nearly completed dice tower. It's still unfinished. We still got the finishing phase to go through. Maybe we'll do a video on that later to show you kind of the steps that we go through to finish that. And of course, this is in the shape of a Doctor Who TARDIS. And the idea is that when it's all said and done, the dice rolls down, and you can see here basically the different sides. All of the burning, of course, is complete. We've already done that. We've done several videos in the past with the time lapse of the burning process. This is one of our larger burns that we do, and it takes several hours to complete, even on our newer, faster lasers that we have. But anyway, you can see the pieces that we have here, and each piece here it represents one of the sides of the towers. We're going to go through each of that. We've also got our steps that we're going to put in, and then all of the materials here. So without any other introduction, let's go ahead and get started. First thing we typically do is we make sure that everything, of course, is laid out. We've got everything burned in a manner that we expect it to be in. We always start with the side, then we go to the back side, and then we finish off with the face. And the trickiest part, of course, is the first step. I'm going to go ahead and put these out of the way. Yeah, put them in order. The trickiest part is this first step, because essentially we have to put the steps in place in such a way that, number one, that they're positioned correctly, as well as the fact that they have the right angle and that they're going to be able to hold when we put the other sides onto it. So we've got two types of glue that we use predominantly. Our primary one is this Tight Bond 2 premium wood glue. It's very, very durable and creates a very tight and resilient hold. Very, very strong when it's complete. And then the other one that we use on occasions for various things, particularly with our magnets as well as for the steps, is this JB Weld Super Weld glue, and we'll show you how that works. All right, and so first thing we do is I take this over, and then you can see we got our trusted ruler. The sides to the tower are 3 inches by 8 inches. At least that's the design we work with. We have different styles towers. We have 5 different towers that we work with here at Silverwood Wood Design. This is our basic one. This is the one we sell the most of, and the one that most people are kind of familiar with as far as the shape and the size goes. So I have markings that I make to help me guide my step placement. I do one at 7, I do another one at 5, and then 3, and then finally at 1 inch. Once we take that away, we'll set that off to the side here. We'll take our bottom step here. Our bottom step is our big one, and then we've got 3 smaller steps here. This is the top. We'll get to that last. And then the idea here is then I have created these jigs that help me place the step in the correct location and at the correct angle. We cut all of these to a 22.5 degree angle on our table saw. That way we get a consistent gradual step. So I slide this on here like so, and then get some of our glue out here. And we'll just put a quick bead here. Again, we only use this on the one edge to kind of get us started. We want it to be, I want it to be quick, and I don't want to have to worry about it falling over before we can get to the other sides put on. Now I look for my mark here, and then I kind of angle this in here and see how that kind of puts this in place. Press down, slide this off. Oh, I missed it just a little bit. I'm going to slide this down. Now, generally speaking, I try to get just above the mark. The reason for that is we cut a notch in the back of our towers each time so that they can lock into place on our trays. So we'll take this piece here just to make sure that we're up and right, down good. And then we check this here to make sure that we're squared up to the back. All right. That one looks good. I'll put this one in here, and we'll repeat the process. Again, this is really good glue. I mean, it's not as strong by any stretch as, say, the Tight Bond, but because it does set in just a couple of minutes, it makes this process work much, much better. So put that in here. Oops. Just a little bit. Can you see me block that in like that? Okay, good. I'm still getting used to creating these videos. I don't know that I'll ever get used to doing this, but everybody tells me I need to do more of these, so we're going to keep trying, and hopefully we'll get better as time goes on. All right, so now we get our other side jig, which basically the same thing, but it's different color. 3D printers are great. If you don't have one, I highly recommend getting one. Making things like this really, really helps, particularly the woodworker, create jigs. Without it, I would not be able to do as much as we do with our products or produce as many things as we do. Check here. Now, one of the things I will comment on right now that I'm seeing, and that is this piece of oak that we're working with, this red oak, that we got from our good friends at Cherokee Wood Products. Shout out to them. Shout out to Chris and his crew there. They are fantastic to work with. They have all kinds of domestic and exotic woods. They ship very, very quickly. They ship anywhere, and you can get boards cut pretty much to your specifications, which is really, really awesome and unique. There's not a lot of vendors out there that will do that. Most of them will require a pre-cut size, and they'll only send it to you in 24-foot lengths, or they'll only have certain widths. But Cherokee, they will pretty much give us within reason what we ask for, which is great. All right. So the steps are in place. This, again, is kind of the trickiest part. As I was saying, the red oak is very, very flat. Red oak is notorious for being cupped. And by cupped, I mean it's going to be kind of a U-shaped when you look at it. This is a really good flat piece, which is going to make this slightly easier than normal. If you get a bowed or cupped piece of wood, doing this can get tricky, as these things, even though they're small, will oftentimes not set quite square, and you'll see as we put the sides on just how challenging they are. Now, I'm going to pause this for just a second. We'll come back in just a couple of minutes. I do want to give this time just 5 minutes or so to set, and then we'll take a look at this here and put the first side on here in just a moment. Thank you. All right, it's been about 10 minutes since we set these, so these are good and solid now. We can go ahead and start working on the back. Again, the idea here is we're going to assemble each one side, and then we'll have to pause in between each side. Now, with the Tite Bond glue, it takes a little bit longer to set. Believe it or not, when you clamp this, it can actually set pretty quickly, but cure time is several hours, but it sets when clamped, usually within 40 minutes to 60 minutes. You should be able to work with it. as long as you don't overstress the joints, things will, you can continue on. So we generally give it about an hour in between each side when we do this. So now we've got this piece here, right? And we're going to lay this down flat because that gives us a good reference point. Now we put this in here. And working around the microphone is a little bit of a challenge for him, but we'll get this lined up. And we use Bessie clamps for the most part. Very nice little clamps we get either from our local hardware store or Amazon. Highly recommend them. Clap that down. Push down. Again, these are curved. These are a little bit trickier when they're done. Now, if you look here, you can see we've got a nice good seam going on here. It's nice and flush thanks to the extra flat wood. We'll go ahead and put one more clamp here on the side for, all right. There we go. All right, so that's the next side. The rest of the time is just kind of waiting and letting that glue kind of set and cure. So don't have a whole lot to talk about, and I'm sure you don't want to sit here and listen to me jabber on for an hour, even though I probably could. We'll come back in 40 minutes to an hour, and we'll do the next side. All right, an hour has gone by, and so it's time to turn the tower over and start on the next side. So remove our clamps here. I'm going to need them again here in just a second. Okay, we can see we've got a nice, good, tight seal on those. Very good. Glue it back out. Glued right off the top. Now, when working with woods this thin, and we're working with 1/4 inch red oak here in this video, it's not always possible to get the calculations for these pieces exactly right. We try very hard, but again, as we go through and try to cut these pieces out, what we find is that there are variations even within the same piece of wood that can range as much as a 1/16 or even, you know, as little as a 32nd of an inch, which, you know, that sounds like, how do you even measure that? Well, you can see it visually, let's put it that way. And ultimately what will happen is sometimes we won't get those just quite right, and you might get a little bit of a lip, or even on rare occasions it will sink in. But I think on this one, I think we got really, really close. It looks pretty good. And you got a nice good seam here. I think you can see that. All right. So now we'll take our clamps again. And we'll clamp this down here and get this nice and tight. Okay. And then I'm going to look here and make sure that our piece here is lining up, and that looks good. Clamp this here. Here. Now, again, this is lifted up just a little bit. It's kind of hard to see here, but there's kind of a bit of a variance there. That's okay. We've got enough play in the wood. We can place our clamp here and squeeze this down like so. And now we've got a nice tight. Now you'll notice here that we've got some gaps. Let's see. It's hard to see because I'm getting through the light. Anyway, we've got some gaps here, so we're going to need to add a little bit of a clamp here to pull these together. So pull one more clamp out here. And we'll slide this down here and kind of squeeze that together. The problem with clamping them this way sometimes is you will have a tendency to pull things off to one side, and so you have to counter that a little bit. So there we go. All right, we got a little bit of a glue here. We'll wipe that off. Okay, well, side 3 is now done. This is going to set now for probably another 45 minutes to an hour. And then we will come back and we will add the final touches to the face. Hey everyone, okay, it's been about another hour gone by, and it's time to take the clamps off and get ready to put the face on the tower. If everything lined up the way it should, we should be able to just throw some glue on and reset the clamps again, putting the face down correctly. So let's take these off. All right, and so as you can see here, looking, getting a good view of the edge, lines up really nice. Sorry, doing this backwards, it's very difficult. I'm not used to it. All right, so we've got 3 sides done, ready to do the last side here. Let's get our glue out. Now, sometimes these steps will not line up correctly. Again, going back to having a flat board versus something that is more curved or that's bowed a little bit. In which case, sometimes we have to take these before we put the faces on in order to get a good solid fitting, and actually run this once through our table saw or through a belt sander to kind of flatten out the edge or the perimeter here and get it nice and clean. But this one here lined up just beautifully. Again, it's a good piece of wood here, and we just set our top on here like so. All right, and then we'll stand it up here so that our top lines up good with the rest of it. Now you'll notice that we've got a little bit of a cock going on here. This could be because of the silicone mat. It could also be from deflection that we get when we cut boards. The problem with you find with some compound miter saws, no matter how good you are with them, is you will get some deflection when you are quick about cutting and chopping and running the saw through. And what that causes is your cuts, while they look like they're 90 degrees to the edge, they aren't. They might be a fraction of a degree off, which causes a little bit of canting with the wood. But that's where the sanding process comes in, and we straighten that out here. So, all right, and that clamp pulled that over, so let's loosen that up a little bit. There we go, slide that back. A nice tight edge here on this side. Got a nice tight edge here on this side. One more clamp. Let's see. Let's pull this back over just a little bit. There we go. Okay, squeeze that down. All right, there we go. There's our TARDIS tower. All 4 sides on it now. We'll give it another hour. We'll come back and we'll take a look at the top. And running my finger around the top here, we do have a little bit of variance in the top. Again, that just comes from the fact that, we are using a saw stop to try to get all 3 sides to be exactly 8 inches. There's going to be some variability. Don't hold it tight enough, there's a little bit of slop, whatever. But that's, again, where a little bit of sanding comes into play before we put the top on. So one more stage and we'll get right back to it, and we'll see you in a few minutes. All right, we're back and we're taking a look at putting the tops now on our towers. Again, we've had the sides all glued together. Off camera, I took both of these towers down and just squared up these tops just a little bit because, again, try as hard as we do like to when we're chopping three sides off. We don't always get them 100% square, and even a 32nd or even a 64th of an inch variance can be noticeable and prevent the tops from gluing on the way we like them to. So we take the extra measure to go on and just shave a sawtooth off or something like that to make it smooth. So what we'll do here is we'll take our glue one last time, and peel the dried off the top, and we'll put a bead around here. And you get 2 for 1 on this shot. So smooth that out. Clean my brush off. So use my finger this time. Get a nice good coat coverage on all the wood. And then we'll take the tops. Time we'll take a look at these here. Now keep in mind this is just the assembly stage. After this stage and the glue's finally good and dry, we'll take these down and they will get shaped, which means we will take various sanders and round off corners, smooth off any kind of dried glue that may have accumulated somewhere that we didn't see. And just pretty much just polish the product up so that it looks nice. And up here. Come on, there we go. Up. Very good. All right. There we go. Got a nice looking dice tower there. All right. Thank you very much for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed this assembly video. Check us out as we produce more, and then you'll stop by and say hi. Always, of course, if you're in the market for a dice tower, dice tray, or other gaming accessories, please check out our website at www.silverwoodwooddesigns.com. Have a great day. Thank you.